If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today I'd like to give a special thank you and shout out to AspenLandHoldings.com. Are you looking for a place to protect your hard-earned money from inflation? Maybe you want somewhere you can get away from the rat race and connect with your family. Maybe it's time for a fresh start from the place you are now. Whatever the reason for buying land of your own, Aspen Land Holdings has you covered. We have been able to help hundreds of clients own property with our simple and straightforward buying process. We own the properties you see on our website, so you will deal directly with our sales team from start to finish, and you will always have a real person to chat with at any time during the buying process. The best part, there is no credit check, so you qualify for this amazing opportunity. Our goal is to help people own an appreciating asset to hedge against inflation and to keep it simple throughout the entire process. You can buy a property now that will be in your family for generations to come. We offer low down payments and a variety of monthly payment options to fit your budget. There are no prepayment penalties or hidden fees, so you will know exactly the cost upfront from the beginning. Ready to make 2022 the year you take the leap and buy land? Just head on over to our website, www.aspenlandholdings.com, to check out our current inventory of beautiful properties. We are looking forward to helping make your dreams come true.
Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mack's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.sheilamack.com today.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio, Mondays at 1 and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
All right. Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest Annie Bourke. Annie is a Brisbane-based international best-selling author and animal communicator medium. She has had conversations with hundreds of animals living and in spirit to convey messages between them and their carriers. Okay, so known as the Cosmic Communicator, she is passionate about being a voice and advocate for animals and supports people who have experienced the loss of an animal with great compassion. She enjoys discovering animal wisdom and enables people to better understand animal behavior and health issues so they can enhance the quality of their pet's life. Annie has communicated accurately with animals internationally and passed messages on to zookeepers from the animals so that they are aware of any issues affecting them. I love this. As animals hold so much wisdom,
I am able to hear what they want to share and ensure that their messages are heard, she says. She loves supporting the healing well-being of animals and humans and combines her spiritual gifts to provide intuitive healing support. Often, animals take on symptoms for their carriers so that healing may be needed for both. Yes, that's so interesting. And intrigued by people's spiritual purpose and soul evolution journey, Annie is a certified clinical aromatherapist, crystal therapist, Reiki master, angel intuitive, medical intuitive, clairvoyant, and medium. Now, she has some books out as well. Her first book was the international bestseller, The Bridge to Animal Consciousness, and that was released August 8th, 2018. And through this, Annie aims to raise global consciousness about animals, why they're here, and how they help us, and how we can help them. And her second book and number one Amazon bestseller is Evolving Hearts and Souls, The Guide to Spiritual Awakening. All right, welcome to the show, Annie. And one of the things that this show is based on my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this year, globally, we have had just about every situation hit us that we never could even imagine. And so I like to start off with having the guests share maybe about a time in your business or personal life where you hit a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Okay. I'd like to share about how I got into animal communication. For as long as I can remember, I thought that my animals could understand what I was saying, but it was so frustrating for me not being able to understand what they wanted to tell me. And I had a beautiful little ginger and white cat who was a runt of a litter, but she was a very special little girl, and she passed away very quickly after a short illness, and it just really shook me that I hadn't had the opportunity to better understand all the wisdom that she'd been trying to share with me. So I did some searching online to try and find an animal communication course, and I found a course that was online, and the image that was on the front of the website was the same image as her. Like, it was just a sign that it was meant to be. And I had two Maine Coon cats with me at that stage, and so they became my training buddies. They were very patient with me while I was trying to learn what I was doing, but I had to do a lot of exercises, practicing sending them messages and then asking them to send information back to me, and it's just been a learning curve since then. So I've practiced with my own animals, with friends' animals. I love going to zoos and talking to the animals at the zoos, and passing messages on if they need that for their health. I've talked to animals in the wild when I was writing my book, just so that I could get their perspectives and tell their story. So it's really about being a voice for the animals, since they can't tell us all of these messages themselves.
Right. Wow. That's so interesting. And I feel like I've always been kind of connected to in a certain way. And I remember I had a neighbor that had hundreds of birds. I guess she sold the birds and bred the birds and whatever. She loved these birds. And in the middle of the night, she came over because one of them was barely breathing. And so I went over and I was like, well, and she didn't have a lot of money. She didn't know what to do. And so I did a little blessing on the bird, and the bird got better. Now, a few weeks, then some reason, and it wasn't really me. It was the bird wanted to get better. I really think, and it was probably a seed. Who knows? I feel like it was a seed. But anyway, so then the next few weeks, another bird. This bird, she calls me, and I'm like, no, it wasn't really. I had nothing to do with this. And, she calls me over again, and I'm like, great. So I go over again. This bird, I honestly felt like it was saying, I need to go. I'm kind of done. And she had extended after it passed away. She told me she kept doing things to keep it alive. And it was really like it didn't want to be here anymore. And I felt like, wow, it really was, it wanted to go. And it's like there's some kind of energy that these animals have. And you think about how our family pets teach us so much. I mean, I have 6 children that, I fostered 3 are mine, all these kids, and our family pets taught us so much about different things. They just really attached to the children in different ways. And when they were sad, they'd go to them. It really was a beautiful experience.
So they're very intuitive. We vibrate at a certain frequency, and when we have any change in our health, our frequency drops, and our animals can detect that. So they will be very attentive. They can be a lot more affectionate. They'll spend a lot more time snuggled up next to us and trying to help us with that healing process. From all the studies that I've done and all the animals I've spoken to, they all come into our lives for a purpose. So they're on soul journeys just like we are. So some of them will come in to work with specific children if they've got issues that they need to work with. So they know who they need to go and connect with. Some of them are here to be guardians and to protect us. Some of them are here to help us be creative. Some of them are here to help us on our life journey. Some people may not be aware, but sometimes animals have come with us from past lives and they want to come and work with us again, which is such a gift. There's a soul connection there, like soulmates. And I've had a few clients really think that their animals are their soulmates. The bonds are just so close to them. So it's no coincidence that they come into your life. And a lot of people think that they're rescuing the animal, but a lot of times the animal is actually rescuing us, and it's completely the reverse. But there's win-wins. Like, a lot of them come in wanting to experience love and being in a nurturing family, but they also teach us about unconditional love because they absolutely trust us. They have to rely on us for a safe home, a safe environment, getting lots of love, getting good nutrition, getting good care. So it's a real trust thing, and we are their world. So any change in our routine or behaviour can really impact them, whether it's getting a new animal into the family, whether you're having a baby, whether you bring a new partner into the house. Anything that changes the routine in the house does have an impact on them.
Yes, that is so interesting. I had one relative who had lots of animals. She had a Gibbon's ape. And
all right.
It was called Goldie. It was a blonde ape. And when I was 3 years old, I would go visit, and the ape did not like me or something. She was jealous, so she would pull my hair out. Sometimes we would have tea and we'd be playing nice, the ape and I, and other times she would just yank my hair out. And it was so interesting because I was the new one in the family. I was so intrigued. I was like, look, it's a toy that moves. What do you think when you're 3? And so I had to learn a lot about giving the animals space. And I didn't think it affected me. And years later, I brought my children to the LA Zoo in California. And that was the day a gorilla got loose. And I had just purchased a pass to visit the animal. And I said, okay, we'll go on a pass. And on the weekends, we'll go visit the animals at the zoo. And literally, I threw the pass in the trash. On my way. I was so scared of this gorilla because I thought, well, I remember the Gibbon's ape and that was enough. And I thought, oh, wait a minute, that was a trigger. It did stick with me a little bit more than I thought it ever affected me. So there is something about having our young children around wild animals. That was a wild animal. But I slept with a baby bobcat that in the crib that my father was nursing back to health. So I've had the animals around me so much that you kind of learn how to listen to them, to respect them. There's a difference. You can feel and hear their personalities come through a lot of the time, and it's really a cool thing.
So a lot of the ones I've spoken to, they've all got different individual voices like humans do, but some of them are real comedians. I've had a horse sing to me to answer the questions that the mum wanted to know, and it just started singing, which is just hilarious. I wasn't expecting that. Another dog that I spoke to showed me it laughing, and it was lying on its back because it used to love embarrassing its parents, going to dog cafes and lying on its back and wanting to be tickled while they were trying to eat. And this dog was just laughing, and it was just such a beautiful thing. It was a dog that had previously been abused, and so it was now with its forever family and feeling so confident that it could lie on its back and be exposed and exhibit absolute trust and see the funny side of it as well. So, yeah, they are very funny.
Now, Sorry. What suggestions do you have for people that have lost a loved pet, and are really having trouble healing through that experience? Not sure, I guess. I mean, like, I have one lady in mind that it took years to
Yep.
recover, and she
Mhm.
just got lost in this dog. It may have been one of these soulmate things or something far more than that relationship. I'm not sure.
hmm I just wrote a post about this the other day on Facebook because a number of my friends have just recently lost animals, and it's a really difficult time of year when you're coming up to having a Christmas without having them around the Christmas table. And grief doesn't have a time limit, so
Yeah.
everyone works through it at a different pace. And, you know, it wouldn't hurt so much if we didn't love them so much, and we
Mhm.
just have that huge capacity, and they leave a huge imprint on our hearts and in our souls. So the other thing to think about too is that as well as us mourning the animal when they go, if we've got other human family and also other animal family, they also go through a grieving process as well. So they may need to get support, and it's hard if you're the oldest one that you're trying to support all the animals and all of the other human relatives going through this grief process, so while you're going
Mhm.
through it too. What I've understood from all of the animals that I've spoken to in spirit is that they don't have any regrets about what's happened. They love spending time with their human family. They're very grateful for all the care that they've received. They don't want to leave us any more than we want to leave them. And so once they're on the other side, they find it really hard as well, watching us grieve when they can't come and physically comfort us. So they want to be with us as soon as they can. Again, from my conversations with humans in spirit and animals in spirit, once we pass over, we go through a healing process. And once that healing process is over, then those souls can come back and visit us. And so a lot of people have told me that they know that their animals have come back and visited. They've either heard them or they've seen them or they've felt them or a combination of that. And often they don't want to talk about that because people will think that they're just weird or imagining it, or that's the way they're helping to cope with the grief. But it's honestly true. I've heard one of my cats meowing when she came back to visit, and my other cats knew that she was there, and they were just sitting upright, and I could tell that they knew that that presence was there. And so many people have told me that. I had one lady who I was talking to, her dog that had just passed away, and he said he was going to come back that night. And when I spoke to the mum a couple of days later, she laughed and said he jumped on the bed with such force he knocked 2 pillows off. So that's the amount of energy they can bring when they come back. So some people feel them on the bed, some people feel them tapping a paw on their face or on their body. So they will do everything they can to let you know that they're there. So they do come back. The other thing that a lot of your listeners may not be aware of is the fact that the animal souls can come back again. And this was something that I knew nothing about. I'd always been fascinated with reincarnation because the ancient Egyptians knew so much about it. But one of my cats passed away suddenly one day with a heart attack, and she hadn't been sick. There was nothing wrong with her, and she just suddenly had a heart attack, and she'd passed away before I could get her to the vet. And so I said to her afterwards, "What did you do that for?" And she said, "Oh, I needed a new body." So that's what everybody does. And so she told me what she was going to look like when she came back again, and she came back. And it was absolutely amazing. So when they come back, they're a higher evolved version of themselves. So they've learnt their lessons in their previous last lifetime, and then they come back to learn lessons in this lifetime. And again, I've had a number of people that know that their animals have come back. Sometimes they're a different animal. So I've had someone whose cat had passed away and it had come back in a new dog. But there's things, it may be the way they walk, the way they look at you. There'll be certain things that remind you and let you know that you recognise that soul. Sometimes they look exactly like them, and then that's really weird because you want to call them by their original name, but they're actually a new version of themselves. Yeah. So it doesn't happen in every lifetime, but it's such a gift when they can come back and be with us. And if they don't come back to be with us in this lifetime, they'll be waiting for us when we pass over, and then we may have future connections together with them. They're such powerful bonds. So that's how and they confirm that they're with other family members who have passed over, or other animals in the family who have passed over. So that gives a lot of comfort to people as well, to know that that soul is not on its own. But the fact that we can communicate with the souls is also reassuring, because it means that they're confirming that there is life after life, and that the soul endures, and that love for the human endures. So they will be around as much as they can in a spiritual sense. So I would let your friend know just to be alert. Usually it's in the middle of the night or early in the morning, and just to be aware, and just to let them know that they're not crazy and what they're experiencing is real.
Yes, yes. I know that we had one cat that my father, before he passed away, had found this kitten and gave us the kitten. And we had to bottle feed the kitten. I believe the mother cat got run over, and nobody wanted the runt kitten. And so we got this kitten, and the kitten literally slept in my daughter's crib. Like, I had a bobcat, she had a cat, and when we went on walks, the cat would go in her little stroller and go in the walk with us. And her first word was Coco, calling the cat, not mama, not daddy. And so he loved that cat. And when the cat passed away, we had a ceremony and the whole thing. And I thought, I cried more than the kids, and they laughed, but they cried too. But then they said, "Mom, you're crying," and it was that laughter of relieving the sorrow. It wasn't like they were happy, but it was like, "Oh, Mom, wow!" And I said, "Yes, we have to honor all our emotions when we lose a loved one, and that's okay." And I realized at that time that it kind of is the gift. Our animals don't live as long as we do, most, the traditional dog. And so with that, it's like, as a parent, if you have these pets, it's how we model how we go through grieving in a light way. It's still a big loss. It's still a family member. And it shows, how do we do grieving? What is loss? And we open the door to talk about these things that usually it's not something we talk about. And it's a really important life lesson for people. It prepares our children for the future and for the reality of this life. And I thought, wow, that was really profound. And a few weeks later, I'm asleep and I felt the cat walking toward me, and I felt the paw right. He tapped me, and I thought, I know that was so real.
I'm
Yes.
going buzzy while you're telling me that. So it's absolute confirmation. That's just such a beautiful story.
Yes. And so that's something. And we have beautiful memories of this cat. And so it was a cool thing, and it was hard. And we still, years later, we still love that cat. And obviously we've had other pets. Now we have 2 cats and a dog. And so there's that. And it's just important. And the energy that the animals bring to a home is really beautiful and peaceful and loving. And they take after us so much. Sometimes they'll show us what we're doing. So, yes, so it's great.
Yeah. So I think it's really important that children are exposed to animals early on and get that experience of unconditional love and that interaction. And it's interesting because children can actually communicate with animals. If you watch really little kids, they'll squat down and they'll talk to the dog or the cat, and then they'll tell you what they've said, and they can do it. And it's just a channel that we close off as we grow up, but we can reopen it again and learn how to communicate. It's telepathic, so you're not actually saying anything verbally out loud to the animal, but it's just tuning into their wavelength, and you're connecting with their soul on a heart-to-heart level. And they carry so much wisdom. They know exactly what's going in the house. They know what's going on with you. They know what you're worried about. They're just amazing what they pick up. And then some of the wild animals are carrying very special wisdom for us as well. So I've interviewed some beautiful lions. I've spoken with whales and with dolphins. That there's so much that we can learn. Even looking at videos of animals, just the love bonds between them, with a mother and a baby, even a father lion and a baby when they're getting acquainted, you can just see the bonds there. And there's a lot we can learn if we just look at them and just listen and watch and not just assume, but it's taking that time. The other thing is that our animals understand everything that we say. So even they may not follow our instructions, they're certainly listening. So it means that people need to be really careful with the tone of voice that they use and also with the words, because our words do carry a vibration. If we call our animal a derogatory name over and over again, that does have an impact on them emotionally and mentally. And I have spoken to a number of animals that don't like their names, and interestingly, they've already determined what name they would like to be called. Thank you very much. And so when I pass that message on to their humans, and the humans start calling them that name, they respond straight away. They're so smart, they just know, and that can totally change their interactions if they've been called something really awful to something that's a lot more respectful. And the same with zoos. I was doing a course at a zoo and I had to talk to the crocodiles, and the crocodiles said to me, "We think we're beautiful." So they've obviously heard lots of people saying how ugly they are, but they've got feelings. They said, "We've got feelings too." So it's getting that message out that animals have souls. They've just chosen to come in this lifetime in an animal form, but they have feelings and they hear what we're saying. But by understanding what's going on with them, it really helps better understand any of their behavioural issues or health issues. And as you read out earlier, sometimes they do take on health issues for us, just so that we're not having to bear the full brunt of a condition. And so sometimes the human needs the healing so that the animal can then let the symptoms go. But again, that's another thing they do just to be of service for their humans. They just want to help. One of my cats took on some stuff for me, and once I worked out what was going on, I said, "Look, it would make me a lot happier and less stressed if you were just happy and healthy and not doing that." And she said, "Are you sure?" So she was that committed that she was happy to keep on doing it, even though it was causing her discomfort, because she wanted to help me. So they're just amazing beings.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I know that for me, my daughter moved over this last year to be in my home with me, and she's doing college online with the pandemic and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And her one condition, she says, "One thing I want is I want to have cats and a dog." And I said, "Okay, sure, no problem." But that was she felt it was a need, like she needed to have that. And we did not know. She moved over. My youngest son passed away. He was 22. He had a heart condition. So he passed away and she moved over for that. We didn't know we were going to have the pandemic where you don't have the people to hug and see and all that. But she had this knowing that we have to go get these pets right away. And it was just like, it was really important. And of course the dog sleeps in my bed. And so they're definitely not just her pets, but she knew that that was something that we needed during this time.
No,
And
and she may be very empathetic or gifted, because a lot of empaths do have very strong bonds with animals as well. And that's something that a lot of people, it's helped them cope through the pandemic, that they have been able to spend time with their animals, and, just receive that love. And it is someone that they can hug all the time.
yes. I mean, like our dog is such a hugger and such a, like, just loves everybody and loves, very social. We have dogs on every side of, the neighbors have dogs. And so she'll go play with the other dogs and she'll go visit. We have like they go visit at the other place where they go play together. The dog training, it's like a training and then they play. And
Mm-hmm.
she is just as social as we are. So, who would have thought? I mean, she's just like us. And she doesn't
Yep.
always follow the rules, just like
Yep.
us, the
Mm-hmm.
whole 9 yards. So it's great. It is a good thing and really healing. She's not a official therapy dog, but she's definitely our hug therapy dog.
Yep.
It can make a difference. And I think for people that are isolated and alone without somebody else living in the house, to have a pet, it makes you get up off the sofa to go
Yes.
take care of the dog or cat. It gets you moving. It gets you hugging another sentient being. It gets you active. And even you're talking to your pet, and it keeps you active and healthy and aware and outside of just the television. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's really, there's so many people that maybe they've turned their pets into the shelters, And so there's lots of pets that people can go pick out right now even that could really make a difference for them and for the pet.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a lot of, sadly, every year around Christmas, a lot of people buy people animals as presents, and they
Mm.
haven't really thought about whether the person wants that and whether they've got the space and the time and the money to be able to invest in the animal, because having a pet is a lifetime commitment for that animal. So, yes, going and rescuing an animal from a shelter is a fabulous idea because they're all just in there waiting for their forever home. And I've
Mhm.
actually done a press release about that, what our animals want for Christmas, and they just want to be in a home that's their forever home and getting the love of a family. So yes, getting an animal from a shelter where you're genuinely able to look after that animal is a fabulous idea. I think the world record for a cat is 38 years. It was a cat called Cream Puff,
Oh.
lifespan. And dogs, apparently smaller dogs live for longer than bigger dogs on average.
Mm.
So smaller dogs like Chihuahuas can live for up to 20 years. So when you're going and getting a pet, you've got to think it is a long time that you're going to be providing love to that animal, but then it's a long time that you're going to be receiving that unconditional love from the animal as well. They really do enrich our lives in so many ways. The other thing to tell your friend who's grieving, if she's ready, is to go back and look at photos and videos of the animal, because at the time you just don't want to. It's just too heartbreaking. But when you've had a big enough gap and you can go back, I ended up finding videos of my cat that I had no idea I couldn't even remember that I'd taken them. And it was just lovely to go back and see them, and especially with videos when you're seeing them alive. That's beautiful. And even things like for Christmas time, just having a photo of them around the table or around a tree so that they're still part of the Christmas memories as well, that can make a difference.
Yes, that's great. And I'd love for you to share how people can connect with you, get your books, or maybe get a reading, how that works.
Yep, certainly. Thank you. So my first book, and I've got a photo of this sitting up behind me at the moment. So that's my Maine Coon cat Tierney, who's with me at the moment. And so this was the first book that I wrote, and so this was part of my purpose in life, to help on a global level to raise awareness about why animals are here, that they've got souls and that they're really important. They're not just a pet. There's so much more than that. So I talk about how to welcome a new animal into the family, what happens when they pass away, why animal communication is valuable. It's not a book on how to be an animal communicator. And then I spoke about animals in zoos where they're being looked after ethically, and some issues for our animals in the wild, and then how people can make a difference for animals. So that's available from Amazon online, either as the paperback or an ebook, or if people are interested, they can contact me and I can do a personal dedication in the book and post them out to them, so they'd have to pay postage with that as well. And then my second book, Evolving Hearts and Souls, The Guide to Spiritual Awakening. I wrote this because when I woke up to my spiritual being, I started getting clairvoyant visions of people, and I'd be talking to someone like you and I could just see into their past life, in this lifetime, what had happened in their past, but what was happening in their future. But I had no idea why I was able to see this and what I was supposed to do with it. And I spoke to a few people at the time because New Age things weren't really in, and I was just told, oh no, don't dabble with that. So I did nothing for a while, but then I ended up going to some spiritual development classes and everything just switched on back again. And because there wasn't really a book about what to do when you suddenly wake up, I thought I'd write one and just write about my experiences over the last 10 years. Some of what I've experienced is really weird. So when people read it, they may not think that everything is as I've said, but as you experience more and reread it, then things will start to make more sense. So again, that's also available on Amazon as an ebook or paperback. Booking readings, I'd send people to my website, which is www.cosmicheartintuitive.com.au. I've got all the links on there for the books as well, but there's information about all the services I provide. So I do a mini animal conversation, which is asking your animal up to 5 questions, and I ask them if there's anything else that you need to know. I do a standard animal conversation session, which is up to 10 questions, and then I do the mediumship sessions, which are talking to your animals in spirit, and that's asking up to 5 questions. So all the information about them and how to book them is available on my site. I do readings from photographs, so I can do readings for animals all around the world, and you can also buy them as a gift for someone as long as you email me the photo of the animal and the questions that the human wants asked. Then I just ask the animals the questions and email the information back again. I've also got a business Facebook page, which is at Cosmic Heart Intuitive, and my personal page is Annie Bourke, and there's a photo of me and my cats behind me. And I'm also on LinkedIn as Annie Bourke as well, so people can contact me through all those various ways.
All right. Well, wonderful. Thank you for being a guest on the show, and I will be contacting you for a reading. That'll be great. My daughter and I will probably talk about which pet we might want to get a reading on.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm also happy if people have got a couple of pets that they want to get a reading on, like one who's in spirit and one who's living. I'm happy to have like 2 questions for one and 3 questions for the other, and do a combined reading for 2 pets in the one reading, if that makes it easier. So happy to help. I just love chatting with them and just listening to what they have to say. They really make me laugh. I was speaking to a cat the other day, and the mum wanted to know why I like playing with water so much. And so he described like the sensation of splashing the water around and all that kind of stuff. And I said, oh, is there anything else you want to say? And he said, does she want an existential expose on the physics of displacing a volume of water out of the bowl? And I thought, oh my God, it just sounds like a professor. Like you just don't know what they're going to come out with. They are just so hilarious. Yeah.
That's great. I love it. All right. Well, thank you again for being a guest on the show, Annie. And we will be back after these messages. Stay tuned. All right.
Thank you.
I visited the horses, and I just remember how beautiful that was. I didn't know the horses. Obviously, I had just arrived for a visit, and I could really feel the energy and the personality of the horse. And I would tell my friend, you know, this horse is happy, and this horse is like this, and this horse is like that. And she was like, wow, you are spot on. And so there is an intuitive connection that you can have. It's like this feeling that you get. Their personality comes out just like for people. Dear Sheila, and on these Dear Sheilas, these are some fun questions for families and friends during this very interesting season. So take a listen. Instead of starting out with a rock bottom moment and ending with that person's moment of empowerment, we are going to compare the lives of 2 women. The life of Anne. Anne was very athletic growing up. As a young adult, she was active and healthy and loved to exercise. She helped rescue animals, volunteering at the local shelter to share her love with those animals. Then she got married and had kids. Anne gave up a lot of her passions and the things that made her happy in order to please everybody else. Her husband is allergic to animal dander, so she couldn't have pets at home, and she gradually stopped going to the shelter too. She didn't stay as active as she'd been when she was single. She said yes to all her friends, doing anything they asked her to. She cared for a lot of people, but she didn't set boundaries. Anne's days were long and busy, full, but not fulfilling. Anne had a vision of how she wanted her life to look, but she woke up one day and realized that she was living a very different life. Eventually, Anne's health failed. She developed many health issues because she had stopped eating healthy foods, exercising, and taking time to rest her mind. She spent a lot of money on health care instead of spending time staying healthy. When she really needed people to help her, she didn't know how to ask. Some of her friends had more boundaries than Anne, so they said no to her requests, even though in the past she had helped them move or with accounting or babysitting. People weren't willing to give as much as she had, so she was at a loss. And with some of the people in her life who did want to reciprocate, Anne wasn't able to be vulnerable or gracious enough to receive. Anne is at the point of retiring from a job she doesn't love,
and she's physically and financially unable to keep up with her friends and family. She sees her friends doing work they're passionate about and talented at, and it affects her self-worth when she compares her life to theirs. She feels stuck, upset, and resentful, and she's angry with herself for letting life slip by. Anne thought she was doing the right things. She was a good student, a good daughter and sibling, the one who didn't need so much attention. She was taught to put everybody else first, and she's done an amazing job of teaching everybody else to treat her like a doormat. She never filled up her own self, and now she has a very painful void in her life. The life of Barbara. Barbara has designed her life and lives it by her design. She has still done things for other people, but she follows her own definition of happiness and success. Interesting things happened in her childhood, but at some point, she decided that she was going to live life on her terms. Barbara made a lot of mistakes. She tried to live her passion 3 or 4 different times in different ways. It didn't work out at first, but she was determined. At first, she wasn't even sure what that looked like, but she knew it would involve art, dance, and educating children. As it unfolded, she started teaching children to read and created a story time program. Looking back, she laughs about her ups and downs. The determination to live her life and work around her passion and her gifts was considered non-traditional, so she experienced some bumps that made her strong and resilient. Barbara kept solid rituals, routines, and boundaries in place. She eats healthy foods and takes care of herself so she can help other people too. She made her self-care a priority, knowing that she was modeling that for her children. Barbara and Anne are the same age, but Barbara looks much younger because she's healthier and happier. She wakes up in the morning and is excited to go to work. When Barbara looks back at her life so far, she's at peace. She knows she's done her highest good. No part of her feels that she wasted time on things that didn't align with her values. She lives exactly the life she was supposed to, the life she chooses. And she's excited for whatever comes next. You only get one. Anne has lived her whole life based on what other people wanted, whereas Barbara has lived life for herself. And it's still full of love and other people. Which life would you choose? Maybe you choose a little of each. These are extreme examples, so maybe you choose neither. The point is that it's your life and you get to choose what it looks like. Anne didn't choose to design her own life, but it's not too late. It's not over for her. It doesn't matter what your age is. Until you're not here anymore, you can still make a change. The rest of your life can become the best part of your life. All the decisions you make have an impact on your future, on your whole life. They build upon each other. If you don't decide how you're going to live your life, somebody else is going to decide for you, and most people are happy to do that. They're happy to sell you the wrong house so they can make a commission. They're happy to put you in a job you don't like for less pay so you do all the work. But if you're not happy, it's not a blessing. I'm not a Christian Scientist, but Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science movement, said, "Whatever blesses one, blesses all." If you're not happy, or if you're not living your essence, your truth, your life, it's hard for you to send happiness to other people in your life. But when you are happy and using your talents and gifts, there's no competition. There's no ego. You're just connected to everything and everybody in love, and it's beautiful. Everyone has that beauty in them, in the way they're here and who they are. We're all amazing, talented, beautiful, incredible people in our own right. When we try to shift and fit into a mold of who we believe we're supposed to be, the adult who never plays, who goes to work and takes on debt to buy a house, it kills our souls. Every day we lose sight of who we really are. How can you be happy when the most important parts of you are hidden or quieted because you followed somebody else's rules? How many people have felt like they had to go to school to become a doctor or a lawyer just because their parents wanted them to? And they're miserable. If they were living their truth, they would be happy, and that's worth even more than money. That allows them to attract the right peer group and a partner who's aligned with their truth. It may sound obvious, but when you're not living your truth, you're living a lie. When that's the case, you may say that you want something, but it doesn't align with you because it's not real. And you can't fake a life and a lie for long. The real you, the beautiful, amazing essence of you, is going to escape every time. Free your soul. It's time to free your soul. Start by figuring out your temperament, talents, and what you really love. You can refer back to the reboot activity in Chapter 6 to get started. There are surveys and tests you can take, but you have to be honest with your answers, so honest it may even hurt other people's feelings, like the parents who always dreamed of you becoming a doctor while you wanted to be a cruise ship comedian. Doing this will free your soul to go be who you're really supposed to be. And when you are living the life you're supposed to, you're going to help people in your own way. You're going to live your purpose because that's just who you are. When you're fully living, you're able to fully contribute to society. Although you're doing more self-care, although you're just living your truth and your essence on your terms, you're going to serve far more people. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. Finding your truth and designing your life based on that truth and your passion serves a higher purpose and a higher good. It serves humanity far more than doing what you or others believe you're supposed to do. So it's actually the least self-centric thing you could ever do. Sheila's story. When my kids were old enough to go to school, and I was making cash flow from renting out the buildings my stores were in, I decided I wanted to be more involved. I wanted to be there with my children. I'd taught the kids at the store, I'd led classes on safety and training, so I decided to get a teaching certificate to teach in private schools, mostly creative, art-centered schools such as Montessori and Waldorf. It was important to me that they were in this environment that featured learning through story, music, art, and their imaginations. I wanted them to learn languages, handwork, gardening, woodwork, and living through the history of different world cultures instead of just reading about them in textbooks. These private schools emphasize feelings and emotions, and the teachers are empowered to modify learning for each child. This unique standard of education was what I wanted for all my kids, and I wanted to be there too. I had 3 children of my own and 3 foster kids. That adds up to a big tuition cost, but as a teacher, my children would get to go to the school where I taught for free or at a reduced rate. As a teacher, I felt like I got paid to have fun. I even started a tutoring program at my house, so I made a huge career shift from owning and operating stores to teaching, but I still showed up as myself. I was still me, using my capabilities and talents, and I was emotionally ready to make that shift. I wanted to have as much time with my children as I could and be involved in their lives. The fact that I was being paid to be near them and able to contribute to other kids made teaching a natural fit. I was doing life on my terms. I was still getting income from my investment building. I never felt like I worked for somebody else, even when I did, because I was showing up on purpose with a heart, a vision, and a reason. The bonus came when, because I was a teacher, we all had the entire summer off. We were on the same schedule, so I had the summer off, Christmas vacation, spring break. When I was running the store, I didn't take a vacation for 14 years. Now I had the income and time with my kids, so we could go play. We could travel. One summer, we went across the United States visiting all the historical sites. We would read about the Amish and then go see where they lived and learn even more. The culmination of our trip across the country was going to Epcot Center and feeling like we saw the rest of the world. We would study another culture and then go learn about it at Epcot. It wasn't all rides and Mickey Mouse at Disney World. Applying the Boots formula to lifestyle design. Using the Boots formula, you can go from being stuck, saying yes to everyone, to becoming the woman you want to be. Being. Designing your life starts with the first step. Who are you being? That is going to be different for everybody. And once you've done some assessments to find your temperament, talents, and truth, you can look at how you are different from anybody else. Who are you going to be when you show up now? Who do you need to be to truly be the best version of yourself? How are you going to live your essence and truth? You may have a whole life set up around something that is not true to who you are. Now that you are redesigning your life, whether this is your difficult situation or you're doing so after making it through another rock bottom situation, the gift is being able to set a new foundation, but that means knowing who you're going to be. Orientation. With this orientation, you need to say, this is where I am, and this is what I want. What do you want your life to look like in a year? What do you want it to look like in 5 years? Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they underestimate what can be done in 5 years. This is a complete lifestyle redesign.
If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today I'd like to share a little bit more about the Tea Club.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea helps build the red corpuscles in the blood, which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95 plus shipping. To order, please visit lovemysupertea.com. That's love, L-O-V-E, my, M-Y, super, SUPERTEA.com. So the complete website is lovemysupertea.com. Or call us at 818-288-4128, Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5 California time. That's lovemysupertea.com at 818-288-4128.
This is Sheila Mack. Thank you again for tuning in, and I have some homework for you. So go and get your copy of the new Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now on Amazon, Audible, Kindle, and all major bookstores. And get ready to tune in daily as I share the Business Leader Reboot. So that is starting a business, side business, or extra income. I don't care if you're starting from zero, rebooting, starting over completely. We are going to go through the steps over this year slowly together to rebuild, reboot, and reinvent your business and personal life, or your career and personal life on your terms. And I will also be sharing about investing in properties and how to get some passive income going this year as well. So stay tuned.
Thank you for tuning in to the Sheila Mack Show, Reality at its Finest, where we share real situations with real solutions to help you rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack. I'm giving you some homework. Grab a copy of my bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, to learn the formula to go from rock bottom and back into action in any situation. If you have a burning question for the show, send it in to www.dearsheila.com. Tune in again Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, right here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.